Today is Thursday, October 12th, 2023. Regular monthly board meeting of the Augsburg Bridge Port Authority. It is 5:03 p.m. Call this meeting to order. Mr. Lawrence, are there any letters of communication to the board?
No, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to go into executive session for the proposed, and the reason would be 105, subpart H of the executive session. It would be for the proposed acquisition, sale, and lease of real property. So.
Okay, is there a motion to go in executive session for the reasons stated by executive director?
I'll
Made, seconded.
second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
The door.
Or executive session.
Yeah.
There you go. All right, where are we?
We're at approval.
Yeah, we're at
All right, approval of board minutes, September 25th, 2023 board meeting minutes. Mr. King?
Yep, they've been reviewed and I would, I'll have them in order and I would move for their acceptance.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor of approving the minutes as submitted for the September 25th, 2023 board meeting, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Those meeting minutes are approved. Reports, committee reports, finance committee, Mr. King?
Don't think we had a meeting, right?
No, because the board meeting was held.
Because of our
late.
timing of, so we have nothing to report.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Finances are in order.
Okay. Income expense report, that would be included unless you have something else, Patty?
No.
Bridge traffic report.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, just go over quickly those numbers. The overall crossings were down overall 17.6 over 2019, but it is down, but as numbers go, and we're trending better by a little bit. So that's encouraging. Auto crossings were down 18.3. Truck traffic was only down by 0.4% over 2019. But altogether, overall revenue was down 53,000 over September of 2019, and it's up 29,000 over September last year, 2022. And we're almost on the bridge, shutting our bridge maintenance program down. They've done quite a great work on a number of things. So we'll be shutting that down early just to preserve operational funds. Any questions on those?
The truck cost, pretty much negative for the whole year. Is there something we need to think about with that? I mean, what's causing that? Any idea?
I don't know if that's, kind of a dollar thing or what, what's being exported and all of that. I don't have a whole lot of insight into that, but if I do recall, I think we were up over, the part of COVID where truck traffic passed the year before,
Yes.
but it seems to have all settled into that, 8 to 10% down over 2019.
So just more of a comparison of good year
Yeah.
compared to.
And maybe 2019, without looking at, was a real exceptional year for truck traffic. But we're just using that all the way through this just as a baseline for, getting judgment on how we're doing.
I'm wondering, didn't, at that time, ACL service the Canadian market
That's true.
then?
Um,
Now, obviously, that doesn't happen.
No, that's true. Also, you've got better flow at TI now with the new station and all of that. So that could
Were
be.
there any construction in 2019 maybe that brought?
Yeah. I think we were.
So, they might have found that, with that, I don't hear of the delays like they used to. We used to benefit from that. Okay, so. Any other questions?
Did someone come back on that was there before?
Our meeting, I didn't come back.
Okay. Might want to reach out to him after and see if he has a question on anything.
Okay.
All right, so, our revenue still was down 53,000 over 2019. But it certainly looks better than it did earlier in the year. And I noticed over the Thanksgiving holiday, Monday, there were a lot of blue and white plates around town. So that was nice to see. Good. Where are we now? That was, anything else on the bridge other than the fact that, as you stated, you think the maintenance work will be completed for the year?
Yes, that's all I have.
Okay. Airport activity report, Charlie?
Yes, so for the month of September, as you can see, we got 406 employments. Our load factor is just below 30% on the load factors. But I have added the completion rate and on-time performance on this chart. So now you can see out of all 3 months, we have the most study out of this last month, upper 80%, 86%. So which I believe that's really great. It's good to keep it up, and let's hope we keep it up. And also on the right bottom hand corner, I did some comparison right there. We're better than a lot of that's airport in the region that Contour serve.
Good.
So we're definitely doing better.
Thank
Good,
you.
those numbers are good. The only number I don't like is that employment number.
Yep. And then just to follow up with the conversation for last board meeting about ferry flights. So I have reached out to our point of contact with DOT. We have gotten back response from DOT since that ferry flight is not reimbursable by DOT. So we have got that email confirmation and have sent Patty that, and Patty will take it on from the next invoice, and then we'll fix that.
Good.
So that's all fixed. And then right there next, you see a news article that should be attached on there. It's a Canadian flying geological company, got a government contract doing survey across St. Lawrence County, Franklin County, and Jefferson County. So out of all the airport in the region, they have chosen us to do their survey base out of, and they're gonna base out here for a whole month.
Great.
So if you look at their flight chart, they're pretty much like they're mowing grass because they're going back and forth with the flight path. There's a big thing that sticks out in the back of the plane, and that's what serves the whole geological surveys. So I believe it was good. When they first reached out, they were really favored with Watertown International, but they were based out of Ottawa. So I started explaining the benefit of driving 2-hour difference and rather than 30 minutes with some of the mechanics they have. And I believe this also bolstered the relationship with some of these surveying companies, because I've seen a lot of surveying companies doing survey out of North Country. So I want to see if we can start locking in some of that relationship with some of these companies, start doing it out of here. So
they'll buy our fuel?
correct. So
Next
that's
one.
also every day they'll be buying
Very
fuel. So, and then really nice people. I believe, again, they said, anytime with the way I have encountered with them for the past week, they said next time we'll be back again, and we'll continue doing this. So, which I believe was really nice.
Good, excellent, nice
Yeah.
job.
But besides, go ahead.
I was just wondering, besides the fuel, other economic impact, are there landing fees?
Yes,
Okay.
all those are still being charged.
Okay.
So number one thing is they're not using our hangar, so they're storing outside. So they're paying the daily fee of the exact aircraft type of how much that weight. So which is going back to what we did, which they're really favoritism because the handling fee got waived. So they're really happy with that because they're buying fuel and every day they're getting waived.
So what Charlie's saying is, if we didn't have what we have in place now, it wouldn't be as attractive to them.
Right.
So
Correct.
the change that he suggested that we do based on weight and everything is brought up. It might not be the sole thing, but it was a big factor in getting them here.
Yeah, nice incentive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
Question.
Yeah, very good question, because we've been getting a lot of great feedback from, going back on that too, we've been getting a lot of great feedback from our corporate pilots. They're really happy with it. We never have those questions again, is what is this fee? What is this fee? Instead, now they're understanding, my jet, it's a light jet. I'm okay with it. Continue on. That's it. We don't get questioned with those guys at all, so. So
Are they gonna have people in the community? Are they spending money here?
they are, so they're actually living in Grandview. So their crew are locally here, and they are living locally, because it's easier for them to travel to their plane rather than travel out of Ottawa. Which we recommend them to Grandview because our pilot loved it. For that reason, because of normal public feedback. So there's a reason why we did it, so.
That was well done, really well done.
Nicole, any questions?
No, but just thank you, Charlie. That's great work on that to make connections that will be lasting, that will support the airport and the community.
Good.
And I really like that new report form.
Hey, do you have anything else? Charlie?
I don't think so.
Jen?
No, thank you.
Dave? All right, board activity report?
I'll handle that. And James is in here, so, salt, is kind of settled out, but we did have initial spring or fall Phillips, a couple weeks ago. And so that kept us busy, but that's kind of leveled out now. And then we are seeing some more grain. Grain is starting to move in. We've got, I think, 6 rail cars this week. So things are kind of breaking a little bit compared to what you heard last month. We are moving ahead with the bid process for the port dock expansion. I believe we're looking to go out for bids in December. We need to coordinate a lot of that with DOT, rail division, to get their approval so that we can send the documents out. But Patty's been helping me with MBE, WBE numbers, that there's things that we've got to include in there to make sure they're covered. As you know, that we completed the offloading of the oversized transformers. Next week, they're going to begin to ship them out. So you'll probably see pictures in the paper because they're pretty massive. And I understand when they have to move them, there's over 100 areas where they have to lift wires just to get them up to the area. I think it's near Chattagay.
So it's by
So,
truck then.
yeah, they'll be going out every 3 or 4 days. I believe there's 7 of them. So I imagine by Thanksgiving, weather dependent, or that they'll all be out of there. But it'll be interesting to see how they move them out. So that's going there. And then I think you saw a picture of the paper there, but we did receive our last known salt ship delivery a couple of weeks ago, and all that salt is now covered. James did a really good job with the shaping and getting all that covered. So if you look at that picture, the picture in the paper was good from overhead, that everything was pretty well covered except for those piles that were active. And we're all done mixing the Thorax we need for most of this season. So got everything kind of pretty well buttoned up there. Any questions on that?
The 165,000 tons we have now is how much less than last year?
About the same. I almost
Is it
think it's
about
a
the
little
same?
bit more. I think we were like 140 last year,
Sure.
but it's more than Patty and I budgeted. So
Well, that's good.
that's good news. And when you don't have to relocate it, you can just put it into a pile. We've been using bow unloaders, so that gets us out farther with that. So that saves a lot on cost.
Have we had a discussion yet with Summerman Jones and the Thorax?
I don't know. I haven't checked with James on that.
We should do that.
Okay.
Because he's on that committee and I don't know what direction they're heading in, if he's aware what role we could play in that. Maybe that's contact information.
That's all I have for the board.
Thank you. Anthony's report?
From what you can see, we're still at 86%. We're holding steady. And we are still in discussions with 2 tenants to take over some of the warehousing space in Berlin.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the non-rentable space in building 1. That's, 88 or 8,700 square feet.
Was building 1?
Building 1, it's where you come in on the side, so you have,
No, and why, it seems like a lot of space that's unusable.
A lot.
it's all
open-
hallway.
It's hallway or open space. You can't intermingle. You can't store something and have other people need to get to the loading dock.
Is
So,
it because there's so many different
yes,
companies in
if
there?
it was all one company,
Okay.
you could, but if you're around kind of kind of perimeter, there's 2 or 3 companies that need access to the loading dock. So there's a long hallway that, you can't just store your stuff without worrying about what will happen to it. It's just kind of an odd part of that. If you could rent that whole space, it probably would go away.
That makes sense.
Good question.
Not that I like it, but,
It's a good question.
all right. Anything else? Any questions? Any of those reports? Nicole?
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Mark, on that
No, for reports, for unfinished business?
report?
No, that's all I have.
Is there any unfinished business?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Business items, all the way down to D1.
Yes, so it's the approval of commercial rate and charges. So following on the August submission and approval of updated rate and charges for the FBO and general aviation, staff have reviewed the commercial rate and charges in light of what other similar-sized airport charge and for what service. Attach our proposed rate and charges for any new commercial contract entered into between the Ogdensburg International Airport, Ogdensburg Bridge and Port Authority, and a commercial airline partner. These new rate and charges will not affect any current commercial EAS or AEAS contract, if approved only to new contracts. Staff feel that these rates and charges reflect the current service and the costs associated with the service and the airport incur for the performance use of OBPA and OGS resource, and recommend approval for the new schedule.
That report is on the next page, correct?
Correct. So yeah, I'll go a little bit in depth. So again, we're going back. Again, I read the little, our old commercial rate and charges. It's fairly outdated. Number one is using Cape Air's airplanes back in the days. So we really have to change that. I believe, there's anything but a smaller aircraft or anything that's bigger than this aircraft, which I feel like doesn't explain it well in a commercial standard or in the airport industry standards. So again, your number one, your landing fee, industry standard is calculated by per 1,000 pounds. So, and here for landing fee, each time it will be $1 per 1,000 pounds of the aircraft weights. So, your Airbus A220 or A320 is not going to be charged the same rate, but based on the previous chart, they will be charged the same rate. And same thing for any landing fee for any other commercial aircraft will be, your charter service. Let's say a sports team charter out of here. Those guys will theirs is anything over 12,500 pounds will be $1.50 per 1,000 pounds. And then another thing I have discovered that we don't have, which is I think the board will find really interesting, is that ARF costs. So for ARF,
Just so, explain what ARP means.
so aircraft rescue firefighting, sorry. So for that cost, we're we're paying all the costs of training, the fire trucks, to maintaining the personnel there to serve the carriers, the air carriers. That cost, it's, again, number one, it's not being paid by the aircraft carrier that we're serving. So with a lot of airports around actually the whole US, what they do with the ARF is they will charge it based on how much it costs to run ARF. And if we have 2 carrier in here, they will split in half. So if we have 1 carrier in here, if that's strictly the carrier we're serving, then that's who's paying for the ARF service because we're serving them only. So for us, it's only fair to apply that service to them because for us to be taking it out of our operating costs to serve them because for their safety costs. I believe that's really important here. And also at the same time, for any non-commercial service, will be $375 per operations. So if, again, your sports team comes in, if our guys, if they came in here during regular times where we're serving aircraft carriers, then that's a whole different scenario. If we have to draw them off from, let's say, off their hours, then we're gonna have to put out a charge because now we're incurring costs again to serve that service because to provide safety to the aircraft, technically. So that's what I have on there. And also overnight terminal ramp fee. So that's what you pay based on each time. So each time the plane remains overnight on the ramp, you pay $200 flat ramp fee each time. And another thing I have found on here, which I found was really, in a way, I believe it didn't make too much sense for me because it was charged based on if the airplane lands, we're charging them. Also the same for office space and terminal charge. So if the plane got canceled, that means that we don't incur that office charge from the airline. But at the same time, they're still using that space. Nobody can use those space during the month. So it's a month-to-month basis that we have. And again, the industry standard is, if you're using 500 square feet, you're paying for 500 square feet. We're not gonna hear, talking about per turns. If you cancel, you don't have to pay, but the office still being leased out to them and only used by them. Nobody else can use that office. And this, again, the same thing goes for our GSE building. If you're using 600 square feet of it, you're paying 600 square feet of it. I can't, if we got 2 airline tenants comes in here, one can be paying more than another and one get bigger space, one's get a small space. It doesn't make sense when they're both paying the same amount while one gets a bigger space than another. So that's, again, on here, I will say set lease rate will be adjusted to our CPI, our Consumer Price Index. Based on that, and unless otherwise, I would like to know that these rate and charges will be great to review on an annual basis because rates and charges reflects and changes all the time. If it's lower, but within the airport industry standard, then we're gonna match that. If it's higher, then we're gonna try to fix that. So and this is what I believe will definitely match with industry standard. And again, I believe that I will have better time explaining this to a new aircraft carrier that what reach those feet means, and they will understand that when I explain it to them. So.
And if it is industry standard, this should just be what they're accustomed to hearing. It's not just something specific to our airport.
Correct.
Nothing is out of the ordinary or unexpected.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I have consult with Adirondacks Airport, Watertown, and also Plattsburgh, and it's the same thing. It's nobody, again, back to the point that nobody charge a rate based on an aircraft, what brand or what type it is. It's based on how much you weigh. So it's the wear and tear on the runway, the wear and tear on the taxiway. So.
And I think it's really important to levy the charges based on the rental space, whether you're there or not.
Correct.
It is yours, and that's what you're paying for.
Correct. That's what I was trying to get at. Is over here. I do not know how these fees were produced. There was no formula. And then, for office rent, it just strictly says office. and which just didn't give me how big the square feet is, what was the lease on it, you know, it was just, I was just wanting to get a better understanding when, you know, when we explain that to them, they will understand that.
Well, I really appreciate you tightening it all up and making it very clear.
Good. You like to have a motion?
So move.
I'll second it.
Motion you made and seconded. Any discussion? Karen, call the roll, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Whitten,
Yes.
Mr. Terminelli. Mr. Manelli,
Go on.
Yes.
There she is.
thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Anything else, Mr. Lawrence?
Yes, under other such matters, I have one item. It's for the approval of the gateway improvements enabling work. And Karen will hand out the
Thank you.
So on October 10th, bids were solicited and opened for construction of the gateway improvements enabling work at the Youngsburg International Airport. Following is a tabulation of the bids. You see DC Building Supply, Building Systems had a total bid of $855,400. Marcy Excavation bid on construction and electrical, and they had a bid of $1,362,615. And Dow Electric only bid on the electrical bid, and their bid was $63,050. After McFarland Johnson has performed an extensive evaluation and due diligence of all bids, has confirmed the low qualified bidder as DC Building Systems and recommends this project be awarded to DC Building Systems for a cost not to exceed $855,400. Staff concurs with the engineer's recommendation to award the contracts to the lowest qualified bidder, DC Building Systems, as shown above. And then you see Jason's letters that kind of explain everything in detail. And I think it's, and as Jason said, that was roughly a little under $300,000 lower than the engineer's estimate. So we're really happy with that. And this will get this project rolling here pretty soon. Any questions? I think they kind of spoke a little bit on any of that, but I don't know if you have anything more on what that involved.
No. You ready to get going? Motion's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded. Any discussion? Not Karen, call the roll, please.
Ms. Hickman,
Yes.
Mr. Burns,
Yes.
Ms. Whitten,
Yes.
Mr. Manelli,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes. Motion passes. Anything else, Mr. Lawrence?
No, Mr. Chairman, just next meeting date, yes.
All right, any, before we do that, including comments from staff or board members? No one's online, Karen?
no.
I just want to say thanks again for arranging that presentation. It was really valuable. I appreciated that a lot.
No change orders either.
I think they were.
Yeah.
So the next meeting date is scheduled for Thursday, November 9th. How is everyone scheduled for that? Why is that date sound? Okay, I see why, all right. I'm good with the 9th.
Between Election Day and Veterans Day.
It might be a little bit late for that one.
I'm good.
Call? For the ninth?
I'm good unless Michael works over, I'm good.
Okay,
5 p.m.
yes. Getting around the holidays, you need overtime for all those Christmas presents you're gonna buy me. I'm sure she didn't hear me.
Oh, I heard you. I'm trying to think about what exactly I'm gonna stick in your stocking.
Trying to think of a reply. In light of that, is there a motion to adjourn?
Also move.
Motion's been made
Second.
and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Bye.
Anyone opposed? Stand adjourned. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone.
We off? Karen?